Hello, my friends. Oh, just getting settled in here. I got this stream started up a little bit later than I was expecting to because I just got in from the gym. And in related reasons, gonna have the old webcam turned off for this stream because I am still sweaty and in gym clothes. Not like I'm a paragon of fashion on my streams normally, but we don't need dripping hair distracting from the dripping blood of the battlefield. So let's take a quick look before these games start in about 20 seconds at the matchups. We can see that Keu is a heavy betting favorite over Trinhuv here, Keu being a recent previous champion, of course. Kazgao versus Absol, both very strong players and betting fairly even there. Seventh Heaven Forza versus Gall, Gall with a little bit of an edge there, Gall always traditionally a strong player. Hayl versus Kazgao. Interesting to see Kazgao with the betting lead on Hayl there. It looks like the matches are about to get started and all the betting information is gone. The only other thing I wanted to point out was the 7th Heaven Nice versus Up Appa match is very unlikely to happen. 7th Heaven as a guild has a history of not playing out their matches publicly, so don't be surprised to see one of them forfeit. Either they already played it in advance in private, in the privacy of their own guild, or they just decided amongst themselves who they wanted to advance to face their next opponent. Meow Sensei versus Super Big Cup is an interesting match because they're both strong players with long histories in Apex. And Valabar versus B-Guy is an interesting match too. This one's similar to the Super Big Cup versus Meow match. These guys are both strong, active players who've been around for a while, and of course Valabar with some increasing interest now that he recently knocked out Auto Run. The match I want to watch, I think Keu and Trinhuv are probably the two of the strongest players left in the top 16, and they're matched up against each other. So I really want to watch this one. So matches have gotten started a few seconds ago, so let's just pop in while I mute my phone here. Okay. We didn't really miss anything thanks to stream delay, but we can get a little bit of a preview of what their boxes are. Hopefully both Keu and Trinhuv had a chance to get into the Apex window and explore some of the new changes that this update brought with the new Apex separate loadouts ability. Now, much like with the casting stages, your Apex characters' classes and gear can be managed and saved separately. So if these players, I mean, it's unlikely to have happened for these players. If that update took place during the regular season, I could see a lot of people making changes to their characters in the normal window, like in the normal way, and having them not save and going into a match like with naked or unprepared characters would make for a funny blooper, but I don't think that'll be happening in the top 16 of the playoffs. Okay, so getting started now, we see we have Keu as player 1, and we are going to be on the Eye of the Desert map. Trinhuv banning out the Rosen Seal. Okay, Rosen Seal bans on both sides. Interesting, though not surprising, to see Apotheosis already in both of these boxes. Trinhuv, quick to pull the trigger on the Adank Elmo and Polyol bans there. Picking his own AO, so gonna be excited to see an AO mirror match. Something Trinhuv looks like he was prepared for with the Insta Rosen ban and then Insta AO picks. So we're gonna have AO versus AO with no Rosen Seals on the table. As for the rest of who's in the box, we have, I mean, this is all fairly standard by now, other than Apotheosis, who's new. But Lena's in here. Oh, and we're getting a second pick Sagni, which is a very interesting and exciting move from Keu. With Rosen Seal not on the table, Sagni is definitely able to use the long range of his Owl to get some really annoying and potentially crippling debuffs off on the other team. So if Trinhuv is not able to spread out and avoid that or heal it off, you can see he has no more remaining true healers in his box. That could be something that if Keu gets the jump on him, it'll be difficult to recover from that. We also have IBC in Keu's box, which is, I mean, she's a powerful character that we haven't seen in top meta boxes for a while. Or at least, you see her pop up from time to time, but she's not like in everyone's box like she used to be. So she could be an interesting enabler for someone like Sagni, for someone like Lena, for example. On Trinhuv's side, we have similar box. You know, we've got Lostum in each box. We've got the second pick, Sagni again. Trinhuv is going to be content to go toe-to-toe with Keu in these picks. As for interesting little mixing it up, we have Joa and Connie, who we are seeing more and more in people's high-level boxes. But she is over here in Trin's box, not in Keu's box. Quinn, welcome to the stream. Would I say there are any absolute must-summon on the recent Oath Swarm? Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you have already and who you need. The recent Oath Sworn, it also depends on whether you PvP or you don't PvP. Like, if you play PvP, you probably want someone like a Dank Elmo would be a good pick. Someone like Lightbringer, if you don't have her already, if you don't have Rosenseal already. Those are important characters. Other than that, I would say bonds for the characters you're currently using. Like, if you're currently climbing up through the ranks in PvE and you're still going through, like, story content, stuff like that, whoever your main team is, you want to have them fully bonded out, so especially attack bonds. You want to make sure you're doing as much damage as possible. So if you're missing someone's attack bond, it doesn't hurt to chuck them on the Oath Swarm banner and knock them out and make sure that the characters you use are as powerful as possible. Now this is exciting. We're getting a third pick Apotheosis here now. Yeah, LNR, I'm kind of hoping to see the same thing. If Trinhuv does decide to go for the Apotheosis and we keep it like a actual mirror match, that would be exciting. I'm excited to see Apotheosis in action, partly because, I mean, obviously he's brand new, and the only people who are going to have him fully built up are going to be people like these guys, who are PvP whales, who probably spent some money and made sure that they got him pretty jacked in time for playoffs. The other thing that is interesting about Apotheosis is that if either of these players have, like, members of their research teams or backseaters or friends who are streamers in other regions, like if they have someone in their network who plays on a Chinese account, for example, they'll be more familiar with how a new unit works. Whereas if you don't have resources like that, you kind of have to have watched a lot of streams to kind of get a feel for it yourself. You may be more unfamiliar or not as practiced as someone who does have those resources available to them. I do not know who Trinhuv or Keu have in their stables right now, but it's certainly possible that they've gotten some practice with and against these new units. So we are both getting some Gren Shields here. The only difference now is that we've got an Apotheosis on Keu's side and a Z2 on Trinhuv's side. Both have the capability to pick up a tank if they want to. I mean, I guess Keu has to pick a tank because he's left with two here. Trin could go for a tank. I believe Landius faction buffs Sagani. But if Trin wanted to, he could just go with a 5th DPS here with Joa and Connie. And that is, in fact, what he's going to do. Joa and Connie, they have some good AoE potential as well, so he might not necessarily need to be worried about this Hilda tank fully stopping his advance. I mean, he has Gren Shield to help get around that tank as well. Sagni, with no debuff immunity, can just shut down Hilda's tanking ability. Hello, Brian. Welcome to the stream. New player, eh? You just started now with this update. I've been telling a lot of new players that, like, this update and kind of within the last month or so is a really enticing time to start the game. Zilong has been kind of surprisingly generous with freebies around the 5th anniversary. But there's also just tons of good summoning going on, so it's actually kind of stressful for a new player, to be perfectly honest. Like, there's a lot to summon for, a lot of good banners available, and I mean, you can definitely make your limited new player resources go a long way. Okay, so both of these players are going to be setting up their positioning, setting up their soldiers, and setting up their skills in advance of this game beginning. Oh, Cobra, welcome to the stream. I saw you join earlier, but I think I was in mid-rant. Okay, this, I think... I was briefly going over it earlier before we loaded into the match, but I think this is probably the biggest match of this round. Oh, Keu! Not only with the Apotheosis right out of the gate, but with the EOL skin on him as well. 2 days into this update, and we've got... This is definitely... Yeah, this is definitely a 6-star, fully EOL'd Apotheosis, ready to send terror into Trinhuv. He's on Steel Wings, and he is bringing Accelerated Aid, which I'm not super surprised about. He's got the Wind Blade on his Sagony. That's to help one-shot the Grenshiel, knowing that Trinhuv doesn't have a tank. As long as Sagony can reach, he can kill that Grenshiel. We also have Deck Gunners on this Awakened one, which helps to kill the Grenshiel if needed, or anyone really. If you have terrain, you can activate that nice juicy boost. And it looks like we have Rout here on Hilda as well, for some sneaky late game potential. Trin is going to have to be careful about Keu's range of engagement here. Accelerated Aid on his own Joa and Connie, so that could help him potentially go toe-to-toe with Keu's range. Oh, and we also have Teleport on this AO. So that could be in for a sneaky, strategic, dynamic play. Grenshiel moving back, keeping the distance, but also catching a breeze there. That is a nice breeze for Trinhuv. It's going to help make Keu's positioning, or make Keu's, aggressive forward potential with some of these units a little bit trickier for him to manage. So he got the Accelerated Aid on the Hilda. He may have been hoping to pop it on AO, who could pull Sagny forward, for example, to get him in position to chuck the Owl way up here and start AoEing Trin's team before he can come in. So both players with some scary potential opening moves with the Sagny over here. Joa and Connie can get in deep as well, and indeed, that is what we're seeing. Trinhuv in advance, getting this Joa in position, ready to help throw some AoE forward. Or at least control a little bit of the middle of the map. Connie catching a breeze as well, and putting Accelerated Aid on this AO. So far we've got these breezed, this is accelerated, she has teleport and swap potential, Joa already pushing forward. On Keu's side, no big breezes, and possibly an Accelerated Aid on the wrong unit here. Oh, also kind of an unfortunate talent buff on the Apotheosis here got his attack added to his int. Normally you'd like to see that chucked on to, like, I don't know, defense or skill, something that he can actually use, not int. So Keu going to back out a little bit. Couple turns worth of chains on these units, so that helps mitigate this breeze on Connie. LNR, you like Q's team a little more, huh? Now, be honest, is that just because of the robot Apotheosis? The teams are fairly similar, other than that last pick round of Hilda and Joa and Connie. Games like these are a total nightmare for me of trying to count all that many squares in the middle of the map. And the kind of unit that you need to kind of use as a can opener and get out front of your team to start to make something happen and know that you're going to sacrifice them. But potentially we will see Robo Apotheosis do something. His 3C is also 3-block act again. Not quite far enough to do anything to the bulk of Trinhuv's team yet. Okay, so the first swap play, normally we would see teleport as well. So you swap one of your DPS forward and teleport the other forward, so that you have a combo threat. The thing is, this Sagni, his forward motion is kind of screwed by these AO chains. So even being swapped forward there, his owl range is not going to be quite what it could have been. Like, you could move the owl to here. Alright, a little bit more forward now. So he used the swap and the teleport both on Sagni. So opening up with a Sagni AoE is obviously a priority for Trin. Keu only has the Sagni left to act, so he's the one who's going to have to either mitigate this coming assault, but I don't think the Sagni can't quite reach this Sagni to try to one-shot him with a single target attack. So maybe this is an invitation to, like, AoE this, to burn the AoE on one unit and silence him, but I don't think he can reach with the AoE either, because everything is just 2 squares away from the owl. Sure, Brian, yeah, you can always ask me for advice on pulls, although I mean, some people in the chat might want to pipe in as well while I'm focusing on this match. The other thing I'll say is that if you want to join, like, the main Langrisser Discord, there are a lot of people who like to type out lots of clear advice there, or even in my Discord, this old Neon Discord, which I'll have a link for in the, well, in several of my previous videos, but in this VOD once it goes live after the stream as well. So you're more than welcome to join the Discord and we can chat about it there too. Long story short though, yeah, Josh hit the nail on the head. The most important unit that you can try to grab. It kind of sucks to summon on the Awakened One banner as a noob because it's only a 40% chance to get her, and then just a bunch of off banners for the other 60%, which you don't really have any control over. But securing her first, it is going to feel really good. She's just an overall very versatile and very powerful unit. After that, you want to use the beginner Oathsworn banner. Probably to try to get, like, Tiaras. The other thing you could try to do is use the actual Oathsworn banner to try to get, like, Lightbringer and Rosenseal, who are probably the best PvE, tank, and healer, respectively. Being able to get both Rosenseal and Lightbringer and, like, Awakened One all at the start of the game would be really OP. So we did see Apotheosis moved up here, refreshed his Breeze, it looked like, and also accelerated Sagany's aids. So Keu and Trin both still in this kind of opening dance of who's going to get their Sagny in far enough to wreck the other team first. Both players also, I mean, Keu's used just over half of his backup time. Trinhuv has used 2/3 of his backup time. And you can really see how these AO chains on the opening turns can hinder a planned rush attack. Okay, Joa just throwing out a kind of a perfunctory attack on this Apotheosis just to get some damage on him. And that also has the benefit of allowing Connie to come down and put accelerated aid on Trin's own Sagny. So both these Sagnys are accelerated now, which means they have 5 move. Their chains are going to be wearing off after their next action. This AO can't swap herself forward to make an attack. For a bit, anyway, since she already used it to pull Sagny forwards. So this AO, a little bit more of a threat than the other one. She's able to pull, well, I guess she can't pull Grenshield because Grenshield's standing in the fog. And if she swaps, she'll croak. But she could pull... well, I guess she can't pull these guys either because they're in Hilda's anti-displacement range. So she could just use the pull and then not swap, and that would give her her act again. That would let her get in a little bit further if she needs to. Okay, and that's a breeze on the Grenshield. So now Keu is starting to catch up in the breeze department. Trinhuv had some big early breezes. Keu now catching up. And here comes the first AO of the match. With a 3C to erase that Joa. That may seem like overkill, but Joa being that far in advance is a potential pivot point for Trinhuv's team. Right, it not only gives him a pivot for Connie's AoEs, but it's also someone for the Zerida to jump to, if that was going to be Trinhuv's strategy of getting in and taking out a unit. So making sure that Trin doesn't have that far forward into Keu's own territory is a good move for Keu. I mean, it's not like the cooldown on that 3C is very long. All he has to do is swap next turn and the 3C's back. So we do have some damage on the Apotheosis, which he heals back via his talent. It's not even on Apotheosis, that was all damage to the Steel Wings. And that is basically in exchange for Joa, who's not coming back. Get Leo Becht thinks this game is almost over. Well, that's interesting because from the perspective of actually watching the game, you know, it looks like it has barely even started. There hasn't really been any engagement. But you're right, that's the interesting thing about high level or higher level Apex Arena in this game, is that so much of it comes down to the pick and ban, what weapons you have available to you, and these, like, opening turns of positioning. The insane attack values, are you talking about Apotheosis? Or everyone? Because, you know, everyone on Keu's account has great enchants, and they're fully built, for sure. So enchants are part of it. Probably the Covenants. They would have really good maxed out Covenants as well. Yeah, I mean, especially with these two players, you know that they're going to have their characters built up as much as possible. Okay, here comes Apotheosis. Burning his 3C to get some healing and, more importantly, accelerated aid on 2 people. So that keeps the mobility up on Sagni, keeps some mobility up on this AO. Apotheosis running around doing some utility stuff. Hey, Mistress of Bully, weren't you watching the Pay the Toll match? How's that one going anyway? This game is going to really heat up once these players get down to no backup time, because they're basically going to have to make all their moves without thinking. And especially with these two super brainiac players, and these kind of interesting dynamic units, you're going to kind of have to know the weird little tactics that you want to pull off in advance. Now, it's certainly possible that they do have set plays ready, that they're ready to pull off. And using all their backup time on early round positioning isn't a problem. Hey Avarita, welcome to the stream. Did you miss anything important? Mostly pick and ban, lots of opening positioning, and Trinhuv's Joa is dead. Other than that, everything else is still posturing. Yeah, Rouge Mike. It's mostly the Arena Mastery Stones. So a decent amount of stats you get out of those. Yes, not only do we have an early Apotheosis involved, we have an early 6-star Echo of Light Apotheosis involved. Very excited to see him do something other than just move back and forth casting Accelerated Aid on people. Oh yeah, Apotheosis got all his 10% spread out there now. Josh saying both Meow and Super Big Cup got Apotheosis. Interesting. Keep us posted on what happens in Game 1 of that match. I like when people send little updates, like ticker tape updates of who's winning in the other games. It's funny because both players are making sure they keep their Sagnis breezed up or accelerated in some way, but so far no one's pulled the trigger on opening up with their Sagni yet. Once they do, though, the rest of the team, the fog is starting to squish these teams together, so if Sagni gets an opening play, you can be sure that there's going to be AOs and Connies and Grenshiels, Zerdas, Apotheoses. There's all kinds of stuff that's going to start avalanching. Just about 10 seconds on the clock for everyone. LNR wants to see a yeet. Well, that's what I mean though, LNR. Once the first yeet happens, we're gonna see yeet after yeet. Whoa! Did he get that final breeze too? No. So the Grenshield breezed up. I mean, in theory, she could get in. She's just going to position aggressively. Keu has turn priority, so he can open next turn with her if he wants to. Knowing, especially now, that she can reach whoever she wants. So the question is, if Keu wants to go in with her alone, kind of unsupported, not quite yet. We got the accelerated aid. That's just on Hilda. Super Big Cup up 1 game over Meow. Trin putting Sagni up on the front line. Sagni potentially able to reach. I mean, he can get the owl in there if he doesn't get picked off. This is a risk that Trinhuv is willing to take. Kind of exposing, and in fact it may be bait, because you'll notice, is she immune to buffs or debuffs? No, you'll notice that Trin did not throw the chains on this Grenshiel here, so ready for the fact, or willing to accept the fact that Grenshiel can come in. And sure enough, here she comes. This is going to be a kill on this Sagni. So Grenshiel is shielded. The AO and the Connie are slowed, so they could get in the way of the rest of Trin's team. Connie on her own, not quite enough to one-shot that Grenshiel. Oh, right, the shield. Yep. That's fine. She had her shield fully up there and she was on terrain, so that was going to be a tricky one-shot for anyone in this situation, but Trinhuv could just finish her off with follow-up on the rest of his team here. Like this Grenshiel, for example. That's fine, that sets up a Zeraball down here as well, although that's not too long for this world, because the fog is coming. Once the fog starts coming up from south. So far then, we just have a Grenshiel for Sagni trade. Trin also down the Joa. Trin losing the Sagni does kind of suck for him because part of his strategy was going to be to get a bunch of damage on Keu's team. The Grenshiel loss for Keu, I mean, she was really just a DPS there. Trinhuv does not have a tank, so this Keu didn't need his Grenshiel to circumvent guard or anything like that. She was just there to pile out damage and get a kill. Alright, Trinhuv now with turn priority. Zerida way up here in position. Remember, all she can do is attack into Hilda, though, because Hilda's guarding. Sure enough, it looks like that's what she's gonna do. Trin also didn't bring AoE, so this is almost certainly going to be a 3C into this Hilda, trying to take both of her lives. Not quite enough to get the kill. Thick, frightening Hilda, but also maybe a side effect of this Zerida being infantry and not being able to get through the Royal Calves quite as efficiently. That's an easy one-shot for Sagni with Windblade against a non-shielded Grenshiel. And now Sagni has the Owl in position to start messing with the rest of Trinhuv's slowed down team. So this one is looking like it's going to go Keu's way. Trin only has a couple distant weapons left and a Zerida that failed the kill on this tank. That said, if Zerida's left to her own devices, she will be able to finish off the Hilda. Maybe Trin will be hoping to make that happen before this Joa and Connie, or just Connie really, Joa's long gone, before she gets into the action. Big AoE there. Almost put the Awakened one into her little portal. Not quite enough to finish anything, though. So this will be the first life off that Zerida. And then probably clean it up with Apotheosis. She wouldn't really have a way of getting her revive back. She would have to kill Hilda or something in order to get it back. Her teleport was down, so she couldn't like bounce back out to this ball to get her revive back up. But now the AO comes in and just splashes some AoE around on this team. The very spread out meteors, though, means that no one gets killed there, and Trin decides to throw in the towel at that point. Maybe if he had gotten lucky with meteors and someone had died, he might have played out the rest of the match just to see. But with Zerida dead, basically only having like an overcommitted Connie and an AO who got no kills versus almost Keu's full team was not going to go well. So sure enough, on to game 2. Trinhuv will be player 1 this time, and they're going to be playing on the Sky Map, everyone's favorite Sky Map. I kind of like this one in playoffs just because, unlike a lot of other maps, this actually does change the tactical approach quite a bit. There's so much terrain that's not accessible by a lot of units that you kind of have to change. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see both players go to their side box and make some tweaks. And then you kind of have to change how you approach getting into center, or like what your dangerous forward pushing units are going to be. So it's interesting because you can watch these good, smart players change their strategy a little bit. So these players are spending a minute in their side boxes. Oh, gotta stretch out these stiff muscles. Usually I do gym after Apex windows, but since I'm officially on vacation now, and it's the weekend, I thought I'd knock it out earlier in the day and then come back for this. Kind of messing with my schedule a little bit, though. Okay, so Trin, though, yeah, drops Lost him on this map, that makes sense. Brings up the original Watham, so we're going to see Watham and new Watham on the same team. Let's see them both deployed, potentially. Keu does basically fully change his box. Gets rid of some of these rush cogs, Polyol and Sagni. Interesting, bringing up the Sissy, which makes sense as player 2, also bringing up Oboro. Oboro can be a very scary unit on this Sky Map. Very dependent on how Keu ends up wanting to play this out. Was Kyra? Yeah, Kyra was brought up as well. So in Game 1, we saw dual Rosenseal bans and dual AO first picks. In Game 2, we're getting dual AO first bans. So the entire game is going to be different this time. Trin going with the first pick, Gren, as a anticipated can opener for a tank team. Also getting Rosenseal. Keu first picking Rosenseal, probably looking to get a tank and an Oboro, but Trinhuv astutely bans out that Oboro. You don't want to have to mess with Oboro behind a tank and Rosen on this map especially. Alright, so Keu banning one tank there is going to force Trin to pick a tank next if he wants to get one. Or risk having them both banned next. Sometimes you'll see people calling that bluff, thinking that the player is not going to go through with taking a whole round up banning both tanks, but sometimes it happens, and then you just have to play without a tank. That's what you're prepared for. Or play with, like, Polyol as your tank. Or Gintoki, much less likely. Okay, so Keu is going to get his own Zhou and Connie out. Very nice unit on this map. Connie can fly, she has that little surfboard. But oddly enough, Joa can't fly, even though he's literally a hologram. I guess he must have like an emitter that if Connie drops the little emitter on those sky tiles, it just falls to the planet. It would actually be pretty funny if it were possible to fall off this map with your non-flying units. So Trin actually goes ahead and bans 2 tanks there, basically forcing Keu into a Landius pick. And sure enough, Trin does pick up a tank. He doesn't want to risk both of them getting banned out. So expect the Landius pick from Keu as well. Trin not liking the idea of facing Hilda and her tiles, or Lightbringer with her new exclusive hat in an endgame battle at the middle of the map. So Landius, the most palatable of those options. Trin now goes ahead and picks up the Sagni, despite the fact that Keu has Rosenseal, and that's fine. We've seen a lot of good players do something similar. It basically just takes Sagni's AoE off the table, but he can be used for double single target purposes, especially if Trin's able to get in with the Gren Shield and shut down Landius's guard. I honestly wouldn't be too surprised to see Trin pick up another tank here. Just in case the first one gets erased by this Zerida. But he may want Watham as just a single target smacker. Especially against a Landius. Watham can still do some damage. Yep, and that's Trin opts for aggression. Keu opts for another temporary tank, a little bit of extra healing, and Act Again potential, which could be good for this Zerida, could be good for this Connie. But basically that's the lay of the land here. Both players with Rosenseal and Landius. Trin actually has one means of circumventing guard with Grenshiel, and then just a couple bruisers whose job is going to be to try to pound Landius into dust. Keu, on his side, does have a guard ignore in Joa and Connie, but other than that, we're also going to see a pound the tank into dust approach from this Zerida. A little bit less offensive support on Keu's side. Other than the Act Again, I guess, which kind of counts as having 2 Zeridas for a turn. Camus, welcome to the stream. Okay, so once the players get set up, we will load into the floating courtyard and get the lay of the land, so to speak, or the lay of the sky. And then, turn 1 will be in Trinhuv's hands. Along with our fate and the fate of the world. Alright, so we see that Keu actually hasn't changed his Sword of Light and Shadow over to infantry yet. It is kind of a little bit early to be worrying about that. Most of the time, I think she wants to use the new Breeze Wings accessory, which definitely facilitates her moving over to infantry. But there's no huge need to worry about it right now, when no one really has built Apotheoses. So yeah, there's that double single target on this Sagni. He does catch a breeze. Everything else looking very standard on Trin's team. Roundabout rather than accelerated aid on this Joe and Connie, which is fine because Keu doesn't want to launch his team forward. He wants to stick together. He's got a tank here. Empire faction buff on the Rosen Seal. And there's that temporary tank, the backup Landius. Small Landius. There's no soldiers to call his own. He is himself the soldier. There's that faction buff, really for Joe and Connie. And now we're going to see what this poor Sagni can do to a Landius with Guardian Infantry. There is single target skill numero uno. Brings Lando down to 42%, but he's going to heal up by proximity to Rosen. Keu also has 2 healers, one of them still left to act. Yeah, I mean, if we're gauging earliness, it's mostly for the duration of the owl, more so than Sagni's access to skills. Because that skill will be back after he uses his next one. But once the owl goes, then your little opening is gone. Sounds like Absol has already defeated Sadao. That was one of the other matches I was hoping to look at. As those are two good players. Keu thinking carefully. Even if there were an opening around the tank, this Grunchiel is not in position to be able to take advantage of it. She's trying to stay back a little bit, I believe. Does not want to get picked off by Connie, for example. Oh, Meow's out. So Cramp took out Meow. Okay, here comes the Connie. And she is able to one-shot Sagni with that Guard Ignore. Landius's aura does reduce incoming range damage, but it's not quite like Hilda's, where it completely turns off critical hits. That is going to be a huge blow to Trinhuv, not having access to one of those DPS. Trin is actually in for a rough time here. Let's see what you can do, Zerida. Almost get counter-killed. The Zerida was left, before her post-battle healing, was left at like 350 HP, so that was a fairly close one. Landius, not affected by the turning off of the revive debuff there because of Rosenseal stacks, but he'll be in trouble of losing one life here. Yeah, anti-hero, it took me a long time to get one as well. And I forget where I ended up getting it. Oh, you know where I ended up getting it? I was stubbornly doing a 30 continuous battle run of Dark Dragons. Like, I was so fed up with not getting it, I was like, screw this, I'm just gonna, like, burn a bunch of burgers and do a whole day of Dark Dragons. And I did end up getting it from that. Just one. We'd have to go back and look, LNR. Actually, that's a good point, though. I should have animations turned on for these, since I'm spectating someone else's games. I usually keep animations turned off when I'm myself playing, because unless I'm testing something, it annoys me to have to sit through watching more stuff. But since the entire point of this stream is to watch people, we might as well get some more information and some more eye candy as well. Oh, the Waitham takes the first Zerida life with the Ragnarok pop, so able to kill both lives. A sneaky, sneaky move there from Trinhuv. That first little fix burst took her first life, Then she revived just in time for Watham's full attack to come in and take her out. Yeah, LNR, in all the time I've seen people using those Holy Grail, Bolt Lance, Thorns builds, I've never really seen a Zerida counterkill herself on a tank. So like you, I always kind of cheer for it to happen as well. Okay, retreating Joa back to safety. Might as well chuck out an AoE from Connie there to get yourself repositioned. Trin is going to be able to heal that off. There's no other immediate danger to his Landius, since there's no DPS left. We've got 2 tanks, 2 healers way back here. I mean, I suppose Sissy could act again, but Connie's skills are all down as well, so there's no real point in doing that now. So Trin is going to be able to take advantage of this slight lull in the action to position forward and get healed up a little bit. And basically from that whole exchange, what we have is a DPS trade of Z2 for Sagani. And Keu has big damage advantage. Okay, Gren getting herself into position. That said, the only DPS Trin has available now that Sagni is dead are physical, so just turning off Landius Guard is not enough to crack open Keu's nut. Because he also has this little temporary mini Landius that he needs to just straight up kill. Yep, we're seeing a gradually filling up the middle strategy going on here with Trin now. Connie can still be dangerous. You know, Trin only has the one healer, so it's certainly possible, once Connie's skills are back, to throw out an AoE to splash damage on Trin's team, which will then allow an Act Again play, and then Connie to be her own follow-up. So that's something that Trin has to be careful of. Hayl is back to his old tricks, eh? Playing Turtle. With Ledden. Interesting. Maybe we'll have to go watch that match as well. It's true, I think Avarita was the one who said it earlier. I don't have to work now. So we're definitely able to go back and watch a bunch of replays. But on the other hand, it's also Saturday night, and Mrs. Kong and me and Applesauce and Donut are probably going to huddle up on the couch and watch a film. Not sure what yet. I have a short list. But we'll see, we'll see. If we can get through some games quick, then maybe we'll make it happen. Otherwise, we'll have to do like a replay catch-up night, where we catch up on replays. Connie's still a couple turns away from having her AoE. Grenshiel is shielded and on defensive terrain, so she seems like an unlikely target. Damn Rouge Mike, I just watched Nobody like 2 days ago. It was an excellent, I would call it like a good filler movie. Not too much thinking involved, just some good old-fashioned action tropes. It was good. I like Bob Odenkirk a lot anyway. Alright, Keu. Keeping his cool. His cool. He is not going to be pressured by this fog that's slowly encroaching from behind him. He's taking his time, trying to find a way in. He knows he needs to kill something here to get into the middle and survive. Connie's pretty much his only way of doing that. But Keu's taking his time. He's going to wait for the right moment. Still a couple turns left on his AoE coming back. Hogan's Heroes, that is a hell of a left field suggestion, Averita. Not on my radar. You know, I don't think I've ever watched any Hogan's Heroes, but I'm sure it's good because it's one of those ancient TV shows that people still remember the name of from time to time. I'll put it on my list. Now that's interesting. Grenshiel moving back. Trin wants to make sure that she's not the target of anything sneaky. Even though I think she was in a nice defensive position here, Trin not taking any chances, and he knows he's not going to be launching her forward to use her imminently, at least. So better keep her safe than sorry. I like those old shows where each episode is its own... Are they called procedurals? Or serials? There's a name for it when every episode is like a self-encapsulated thing. That used to be what most TV was, but it's really shifted to these like long story arcs with like full seasons getting dropped on Netflix to binge. All about the long story arcs. But yeah, like the old Law and Order, and I like Star Trek The Next Generation. That's like one of my old TV shows, where they kind of have some strands that continue throughout the series and connect them, but each episode is really its own thing, like the mystery of the week. I like that. Weatham just gonna chuck some damage out here. Take out the Sissy Lancer. I mean, that taking out the Lancer is not really a huge deal this turn. I guess, can she get in? Yeah, she could. She could throw the Gren Shield down on Landius from there. I was going to say it's not a huge deal because Sissy can just immediately get that Lancer back. But it's a way for Trinhuv to get some free damage on the scoreboard. I mean, if Trin's going for a kill on anything, it has to be Connie, right? She's the only remaining threat, big DPS. So if Trin's given the opportunity to shut down the Landius, yeah, so that's exactly why Keu's protecting her like that. Throwing Joa in here makes it more difficult for Trin to position the Gren Shield forward. And then throwing the Connie way down here just simply means that she can't be reached. And it's kind of not really worth settling, like, coming down anyway and trying for, like, the Rosen Seal. Because then your Gren Shield is left exposed, out of guard, for Connie to kind of mop up. Trin wants to be focused on this creature right here. Yeah, so the Gren is going to stay safe back here, bide her time. She's got her shield up. We do have a couple openings here for Keu to get into mid as well. Like, once it comes to that, Connie can fly, so she can take the pillar, and then someone can go here if Trinhuv doesn't close it down. So even if it is a battle for mid, Trin is running a risk here of not fully locking Keu out. I think the main reason for Lancer Landius is lots of threatening horses, like Leon, upcoming Andriao. The Langrisser PC client is kind of annoying. I know a lot of people, I don't play on the PC client, but I know a lot of people had to, like, ask on main cord for a direct link to get to it. So you may want to hop on the Discord, Felix, and ask if someone can drop you the link for the PC client. A lot of people were having trouble even upgrading or patching and running their PC clients after this update this week. Keu starting to tick down on backup time, which could be annoying for him as he's trying to carefully and delicately get into mid. Connie moving up to threaten. Grenshield is now too far away. No, she's not. She can throw her sword down, but she would need to get the kill for sure, because if she throws the sword here, it's going to get fogged next turn. So if she comes down, throws the sword to shut off Landius, and then whiffs the kill on this defensive terrain Connie. Oh, Trin doesn't like it. He was too closed out, and he wasn't going to play out the rest of the game. So with that, we have a 2-0 victory for Keu, who's going to be moving on to the top 8. Was it last season that Keu won, or is there a gap in his champ? No, yeah, he's back-to-back champ. So he's going to be going for a triple. The only global triple. I think maybe someone else has won 3 times, but they were separated by a non-win. So let's see. Hayl and Kazgao still in action. Jayden, Nelson, and PayToll still in action. Valabar and B-Guy still in action. Interesting match here that we want to see the recap of. We want to see the recap of Sadao and Absol. But what do you think? Should we pop into a game that's still going? PayToll is up 1-0 on Jayden, and remember, Jayden's a previous champion as well. Isn't he? No. Close. Hayl is up 1-0 on Kazgao, and Hayl's the one who knocked my auto battle team out. I think we should probably catch the end of a live one, and then save the replay watching for later. So, what do you think, chat? Do you want free ride to the top 4 Jayden versus PayToll, or do we want Hayl, who knocked out my auto battle team, versus Kazgao? To close this out, first match I see is for Hayl. That's the one we're going to go with. Rather than sit here in the chat and keep waiting for responses to come in, I pulled the trigger quick. Actually, we may not be in this match for too long, because we have Hayl in mid with 2 tanks versus an interesting Kazgao loadout here. We got Grenshield, Gintoki, and Himiko of all people. An almost dead Lightbringer. Let's see if Hayl can hang on. There, I said almost dead Lightbringer, I meant now fully dead Lightbringer. So Kazgao does have the damage advantage. He also does have a Grenshield. A Grenshield who actually is capable of freezing out both tanks. Yeah, I was just going to point this out, because there's a nice, delicious gap between these 2 tanks where the Grenshield can be dropped. Turning off the guard for both of them, and allowing an easy kill on that IBC. So Kazgao with a few scary DPS versus a couple of chonky Hayl tanks, both of them using the new Fang Guards. Oh, Ledden barely misses that kill on Gintoki with his ranged attack. Ledden definitely being run as a DPS here. Righteous Duel and Holy Justice. So, Gintoki going to try to heal himself up as much as possible with Ice Cream, but then he's facing the unhappy prospect of attacking into either of these tanks. Oh, he doesn't have to attack in. All he has to do is push this Ledden back. Fog's going to come to here. Ledden can still get out of the fog. Unless Himiko chucks down... Oh, she doesn't have access to any of her skills. Maybe she just goes in and blocks Ledden out there. The only way to get Ledden fogged is to block him. So I was going to say getting Moby down on him with one of her skills, but she can body block. She can even just go here. She can easily reach. And no one else on Hayl's team has an action to stop her. Oh, she's going to go all the way in and attack. I guess that's to try to stop this Lightbringer from coming in. She can still reach, though. Oh, doesn't bother. Hayl's just leaving his Leaden to die. More important for him is killing this Gintoki. That makes sense, though, because if Leaden's dying here, then Kazgao still has to find a way to 1v1 this Lightbringer. Oh, and Leaden got a revive from his hammer? Hilarious. He got the hammer revive from killing that Himiko. I mean, he still can't get in. But Kazgao is actually in a rough position here. I don't even think that this Grenshiel is going to be able to solo the Lightbringer, much less with a Leaden coming in for an extra cheap shot. Oh, this looks like it's going to be a 2-0 match for Hayl. Here comes the cheap shot. Leaden ate Himiko and survived Fog just for that. And there we have it, 2-0. Yeah, you're right, Pete. Hayl's going to write a blog on main court after that. Pretty hilarious. Leaden vindicated. So we got our cake and eat it too. I think we're going to have an entire Game 3 to watch, because wasn't it just 1-0 for Pay the Toll? Yeah, we're just in Pick and Ban for Game 3, so we got to see just a little, like, intermission of Hayl memeing with Leaden. And now we're going to get an actual full game here between Pay the Toll and Jayden Nelson. So Pay the Toll running a fairly normal looking box other than the fact that Prescia is in here. And Jayden Nelson running a box that looks very similar to what we saw Trinhuv and Keu running in their first match. So we do have a backup box Apotheosis here. We also have a backup box Oboro. And we're getting first pick AO versus first pick AO. Both Rosenseals banned out. So one thing we've been seeing, at least for a couple games that we've been watching today, is early bans and early picks of Ad Ankelmo. And part of that is that she just got her new exclusive robe this week, which increases her impact on the game for sure. Despite the early Rosenseal ban, Pay the Toll still manages to come out with a tank and healer combo, as well as an AO. And this is going to be an AO into not much healing on Jayden's team. I mean, he does still have the Agnes available, which could be potentially frustrating. Pay the Toll, more concerned about banning out the assassins there. Especially on this map. I mean, Lostum still has some play. And it's clear that Jayden's going for an aggressive team here. He's probably going to be left with a tank for last pick. Yeah, so he knows he's going to have a tank, and he's going to have an Oboro. Pay the Toll bans out the one tank who can buff Oboro. And Jayden's not going to have an act again, so if Jayden wants to have a fully transformed Oboro, that's 4 turns. Whereas on his side, Pay the Toll actually can activate his Oboro very quickly because he can faction buff it with Landius, and then use the act again on it. He can have a fully charged up Oboro in action in a couple turns. So 1 tank, no healing, but we do have Oboro, we do have a Grunchiel looking to potentially crack through, although Pay the Toll has 2 tanks, so that makes the Grunchiel a little bit more difficult to use. And then we just have some magical bombardment for Jayden's team. Pay the Toll with a couple tanks, a healer. The AO is really just going to be kind of like an AoE debuff pest, I think, and then there's going to be a quickly transformed Oboro to basically help get around the tank here. I mean, this Oboro could take out Jayden's Oboro, it could take out the Grunchiel. It'd be interesting to see what Pay the Toll's priorities end up being. Alright, just a few seconds left. Yep, here we go. Both players have finalized their positioning, so let's take a look. We've got a full double horse Lando on this map, which is interesting because it's not the most mobility friendly for horses. Nothing else too surprising, other than this AO has brought teleport rather than another AoE. On Jayden's side, yeah, we do have AoE debuff there, double black hole, that makes sense. So, and we have AoE on the Grunchiel as well. So I think that answers your question, Captain. If Jayden is going to win this game, it's going to be by taking advantage of the fact that Pay the Toll's healer is Liana, not Rosenseal. So Liana, she's a good healer. She has some debuff mitigation, obviously, with her 3C. But other than that, it is possible to wear her down with lots of big debuffing AoEs. So we're going to have Black Hole on Adankelmo and Awakened One. We've also got, of course, the 3C, debuffs and meteors coming through here. And we've got her Portal AoE, Grunchiel with an AoE, so that's 5 AoEs. That's if you don't even consider Oboro getting into the play. So that's 5 AoEs that one Liana has to deal with, and whoever her little 3C Gospel bot is. So we got a breeze on this Grenshiel as well. Nice aggressive forward positioning there. Jayden knows that, I mean, if I'm pay the toll, I really don't want to engage right away. I want to at least give myself a little bit of space so I can get my Oboro into the action, or make Jayden's big AoEers take like a couple turns to be able to reach me. If Jayden's able to open with an AoE, like next turn, that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for Pay the Toll to be able to engage at full power. Especially positioning that Grenshiel forward and catching a breeze on her. That means Jayden can just come in and throw a shield down and splash her icicles around first thing next turn. Probably first thing if Pay the Toll opts to use Actagun on Leanna here. That'll pass turn priority over to Jayden as well. Alright, so Toll does not go for the Actagun this turn. That's probably a safer move. Instead, getting the Gospel 3C down on Lightbringer. So there's a little bit of debuff immunity to go around right now. A little bit of team healing to go around. I think Pay the Toll knows what's coming. Yeah, I agree with you, Captain, that ideally Pay the Toll would sit back a little bit more and hopefully get a turn between them. I mean, right now this AO can get all the way in. Because well, she's not gonna... Yeah, she can just swap to the Edank Elmo. That gives her enough range, doesn't it? To splash the initial roll of the dice down on Pay the Toll's team. But everyone can get in with these portals down now. Yep, so here comes the first black hole. Liana and Lightbringer are going to be okay-ish. That's a guard block on that Landius. That's an unfortunate one. I mean, I guess that's what Lightbringer is here for, to pick up the slack. Can't quite reach Lightbringer with the sword. Otherwise you'd have both their tanks down. Burning through tank actions, probably also burning Oboro's action soon. You want to keep your Liana, because you know that you're going to want to heal back up from this. Jayden doesn't want to overcommit one character right away because they would be just dead to meteors. Okay, so PayToll is going to opt to just throw some damage out at least. Would have been nice if, you know, instead of going for the sneaky teleport play, if PayToll had brought Black Hole there, because this was an easy splash, and getting some nice debuffs on Black Hole could have helped slow down Jayden's advance as well. Lightbringer's the only healer on this team. Okay, Jayden going with some meteor splashage. So AO's tapped out, but we still have lots of AoEs left to come. At least when he gets transformed, he'll become debuff immune. Or is he already debuff immune at 3 stacks? Yes. So this is awkward positioning because there's no way for Liana to act again the Oboro, also in range to provide some passive healing to this AO. Prioritizing the Oboro. That makes sense. Throws AO under the bus. So Oboro's going to be able to end turn here and become fully stacked, ready to go next turn to face whatever is coming at him. And whatever is coming at him is going to be coming first thing in the turn because Jayden Nelson now has turn priority. So, sure enough, that's an easy polish off of this 10% AO. She goes into her portal. She'll come back as a gimped little clone right at the start of this turn. Is Landius Guard still down? No. No. Okay, so at least she can't be single target obliterated right now. I guess she can if Jayden goes in with the Gren Shield now. Turns off his guard. But I don't know, that depends on how scared you are of this clone stat AO with no real skills. Instead, Gren just runs back and catches a breeze. So PayToll is going to have to hope that Oboro just carries now. You know, which is possible. He can kill these units on Jayden's side. He's just got to keep that Liana safe, keep a tank safe, and keep healing Oboro up after he's mopping up units. Jayden, I feel like, I mean, we're early in this game, but I feel like he didn't really lay down layer after layer of AoEs. He kind of opened things up with his AoEs, and then, you know, Ed Ankelmo's still on the table here, but he's playing a little conservatively with this Gren Shield. He doesn't want to just dump her and have her get killed. But if we had more AoEs, more comboing, it would make it more difficult for PayToll to recover from. As it stands, PayToll is recovering okay. I mean, his Awakened one is toast already. Landius is hurt. These debuffs from the portal are going to add up as well. That's the thing about no Rosen stacks. Like, Liana can remove some debuffs, but stopping them from getting on in the first place is so much smoother an experience. It feels nice not to get debuffed. So PayToll offers up the free Landius. Jayden Nelson takes it. Okay, Oboro activate. I guess part of the reason Landius ran all the way up here was so that he could take a hit for Oboro. Like if Oboro's going to now be running in to try to kill something, he's going to try to kill this AO. Okay, so he puts her into her little portal. She doesn't come back in time to get hit by that Dragon Blast. But they don't have to worry about guard ignoring this Oboro, because they could just take Landius's first life, maybe even with this Lightbringer, and then these guys can come in and pound the Oboro. No, Jayden's gonna Again, play much more carefully and intelligently than that. I like how the chains have the Awakener wording around them, and the portal does as well, so it looks like the portal itself is chained. Okay, Oboro leaps into action with only 2 stacks. So he's not going to be guard ignoring, but Jayden figures that's okay, because if he kills Landius here, PayToll's Lightbringer can't catch up to guard this Oboro. So he's going to be hoping... that he's able to get a kill with it, with this at Ankelmo. Single target. Fireball. Versus a almost full Oboro sitting on terrain. No defensive auras or anything like that. No faction buff. It's just a terrain Oboro versus a buffed Fireball. Yep, and that Oboro is toast. I don't believe he had teleport. The AO had already acted. His AO clone had already acted, didn't she? But I mean, to your point, he could have saved the AO action for after going in with Oboro, I guess. Either way, this clone is fully toast here now. She has no stats. And PayToll is not going to win this with just a Lightbringer and a Liana. That's got to be a frustrating loss. I think PayToll had all the right pieces to be able to win this game. But yeah, and there now we're seeing the AoE overcoming those defenses. Too many debuffs for Liana to be able to hang on. Jayden obviously paid the toll. I think Toll would be happy if he got paid for this match. Well, I mean, there you go. PayToll concedes. Obviously put up a very good fight if he won the first match and then, you know, had the pieces for that third one. Yeah, Young King, you can kind of see the motivation for moving the Landius. Like, he wanted to spring forward and have, like, he knew Landius was gonna die, but he wanted to have, like, at least a landing pad for Oboro to be able to go forward and temporarily have guard. The problem with that plan was that Landius was hurt enough And Jayden had enough DPS units that he was able to just kill the Landius and still have units left over to follow up on the Oboro. Let's go back in and look at that teleport play that Captain Okava was looking for. Not going to watch these whole matches, though. Unfortunately, I am low on time. So we'll go back to that. Back to that Oboro move. We did miss some... What's his name? Zelgadis. We did miss some pressure. Got another EOL Apotheosis here. Wow, apparently putting in big work. Oh, I see. What did she do this turn? Nothing? He wouldn't even have had to teleport his Oboro away. He could have teleported Lightbringer up. You know? Unless he really didn't want his Lightbringer getting AoE'd. But you know your Landius is gonna die here. So, I mean, this... He should... No, his Act Again was down because he had just used it on Oboro to get his transform. But yeah, he had options. He could have teleported Lightbringer up to protect the Oboro after the inevitable Landius death. Interesting. Yeah, just standing there with the AO... Not sure. Other than that, yeah. So what do we have for tomorrow? We're going to have Keu versus Absol. Potentially a really good match. Obviously, Keu looking to triple this season, so Absol is going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to beat Keu. We'll have to go back and watch Absol versus Sadao tomorrow. Maybe, hopefully what I'll do is I'll put off the gym until after Apex tomorrow. Maybe I'll be able to log in like an hour early and we can pre-watch some of these matches to get ready for the live matches. So we'll watch Absol versus Sadao to see like what Absol's team is going to look like stacking up against Keu. Gall versus Hayl, I think will actually be a really good match because Gall is strong. Hayl also strong, but I think both of those players are kind of right in each other's wheelhouse. So that could be potentially an interesting competitive game. Like, I don't think one will totally blow away the other. It'll be interesting to see if Hayl is still playing that leaden turtle theme. Jayden Nelson versus Nice. That's going to be a forfeit, so there's no point in really... predicting what's going to happen there. And then we've got Cramp versus Valabar. So that could be an interesting match as well. Valabar took out B Guy and took out Auto Run in the previous round, so Valabar is on a hot streak, and that could carry on against Cramp as well. Well, we definitely have some interesting matches for tomorrow, so thank you for tuning into the games today. And yeah, you know I'm going to be streaming again tomorrow, so stay tuned for those. Like I said, if you haven't already subscribed or followed, do that now, because if I do decide to go live early to catch some matches in advance of the live ones tomorrow, you'll get a little notification letting you know that I've gone live, and you won't miss all that pregame. But if you just want to show up for the live matches, that's totally fine too. Either way, I will see you then. Happy Langrissing, everyone.